Gott, keine Ahnung, was du da tust. Entschuldigen Sie bitte. Hallo. Du hast einen toten Weißen in einer Bretterkiste. Nicht mal einen Sarg. Nicht mal einen Deckel. In der Kiste aus altem Holz. Wer kommt da wohl in Schwierigkeiten? Tu mir einen Gefallen. Versuch optimistisch zu sein.
So you've been part of David O. Russell's creative journey on this movie from the beginning 5 years ago. I was wondering, does it make any difference working on thinking about a role for such a long period of time?
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, because you get to look at the character almost more like a novel, you know, because you've actually gone through so many different scenes that then David's decided to get rid of, but I've thought about how Burt would react in that scene and that situation, and different characters came and went. But all of that adds to just the off-screen life of a character, you know, so you really feel like we called it being baked in. It was like just sort of in your bones, in my bones by the time I started playing Burt. And, you know, David sitting there in these diners coming up with the story, and then me telling him how Burt would respond, and us sitting listening to music, watching documentaries, reading books together, making notes about it. You know, it really fleshes it out in a beautiful way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And you've been playing different kind of characters in your career, but for me personally, what unites them, and it's the case for Burt in Amsterdam too, is that they maintain hope, although they are deeply struggling. Is that something you are looking for in a role?
No, it's not something I'm looking for in a role, but I do love it. And certainly that is something that you can see as a pattern in David's films, right? He I mean, who isn't inspired by people who have faced crazy challenges in their life, but rise above it and refuse to let those challenges define them or crush them. And that was particular with this story. You know, I mean, David called me up and he'd discovered this event in American history that he had never heard of, and he wanted to tell me about that. And it is this amazing sort of backdrop that we have to the Film Amsterdam, but we wanted to create in front of that, you know, this triangle of friends, a friendship that we wished we were a part of, you know, and Burt, Valerie, Harold, you know, that played by Margot Robbie and J.D. Washington, are absolutely fantastic. You know, they make this pact and say that they will be there for each other no matter what. And these people get crushed and beaten up and broken by life, but refuse to go numb. You know, they still remain full of love, and they're scrappers. They're real fighters for that. You know, they don't surrender to cynicism, but they remain optimistic, but in a very defiant way.
Yeah. And speaking of that, one important lesson for me is that history repeats itself. It's in the end of the movie, and it often is connected with negative emotions. But for me in this movie, it's really hopeful, optimistic, like you already said it. Do you think this is something people want and need in these times where we are facing so many different issues?
I love that you obviously find that relevant to today. And yeah, of course, quietly, yes, I see that too. To me, when you make a film, the audience owns it after that. And I prefer it that they link any dots, connect any dots that they wish to about times we're living in now, times we're in. The main thing I want to just portray is a sense of hope, no matter what the circumstances seem to be. As Margot's character Valerie says, you know, history repeats itself because it forgets itself. That's right. She says that. And how, as an apparent nobody who's completely powerless, how do you fight, you know, against cynicism and make your life feel joyous and meaningful?
And you already been talking about working with David O. Russell. You worked with him before. What's the most valuable thing you learned from doing this movie in particular?
From this one, we were filming under extraordinary circumstances because it was pre-vaccine surge in Los Angeles when we were filming this. And so actually we had a great many conversations about why the hell are we going to shoot this right now? Why not just wait? But it created, not only were we the most hardcore testing film ever, you know, we tested every single day, and thank God nobody ever became seriously ill.
That's good.
Because of it. But, you know, literally we were surrounded by, you know, this pandemic and you know, death. You know, it was and there was a real rawness in that case to it, and a demand, really, even if it was unspoken, a demand from everybody that this be something that is really worthwhile, you know, that only that we can be satisfied by it and experience joy making the film, but not only that, but that it also be actually meaningful, you know, because why else do it? So it was a particularly sort of poignant moment to be making a film.
Ihr müsst mir folgen, wenn ihr da rauskommen wollt. Ich habe einen niedergestochen und einer Lady einen Ziegelstein verpasst.
Was?
Das ist eine lange Geschichte, aber mit euch beiden wird das ein Kinderspiel.
Das sind gefährliche Zeiten.
Pass auf dich auf.
Was ich vorhabe, kostet mich vielleicht mein Leben.
Der Kuckuck sitzt im Nest und der Kuckuck sitzt bald in der Falle.
Kuckuck?
Diese einzigartige Neuheit aus Zürich lässt jeden Schmerz verschwinden.
Typen wie ich wenden sich dem Schnaps zu und Morphium und das kann zur Sucht führen. Oh, das wird schnell. Das ist fortschrittlich.